something that people normally ask. People would like to know because most times what we see is the results of what people do. We see the result of people in the pulpit, like, oh, this is great. We see the result of a great choir singing, like, wow, that choir is massive. We see the result of a businessman, like, he just started his business a few days back and now it's boom. So we just see the results and we don't understand like the progression. You do a lot of things. You're a blogger, you're a writer, you're a humanitarian, you design website, you're a businessman. So what was the progression like? How did you start? Did you do all of them at the same time? Like, what was the progression?
I started Feel Like Africa first when I came back. And I came back in 2010 from the UK, and it was then that we started the idea of creating Feel Like Africa. And it was 2011 that we actually kicked off with Feel Like Africa. And from Feel Like Africa, I started blogging. I started using that avenue on my blog to talk about my faith. And it's not related to anything I was doing at FLA. It was just my own personal thing that I was doing. And by 2015, I started my business from the things I learned running FLA and from things I learned from running a blog. And all the things I learned because I did computer engineering in school, before I did social work. So I already had those skills, just that I put them on the back burner so I could start a charity. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got a charity running, I'm using Sabin to blog, I can still do this. And then like the books started coming in 2007. I started publishing books in 2017, following my story series that I've been publishing on my blog. So it was all progressive. It was not all at once. With that came marriage and motherhood and everything as well. So everything was just together, and it was little by little.
One step at a time.
And
when you're telling me these things, I need to find out that for each of the experiences, they helped you in the next phase, in the next project.
I didn't really know where I was going. Like I said, when I started the blog, I said nothing from the past, we're moving forward, everything new, right? I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know when I would start writing stories. I used to write short stories. I used to have short stories that were like 1,500 words long. And they were very powerful, like short stories. I put them together in a compilation. But the story series, I saw someone else do that, and then the idea came to me, I could do that. Someone actually told me, no, you can't. Yes, they said that. They said I can't do it because I'm a writer. I write articles. I don't write story series. And I'm like, why did they say something like that?
And then
I wrote it. And God just, the moment I started the church girl, He just took a hold of that story, like seized it from my hand. I did not even know what was happening because the church girl was my idea. I just had this idea of, fine playboy comes across a church girl and thinks he can, take advantage, but she had her own issues. But by the time I started writing it, and got to episode 2, the story wasn't mine again. God just took it somewhere else. I'm like, what is this? I started writing about a girl who was abused by her pastor and someone else. By the time I got to my damn. So when we got to the 6th episode, I was getting scared because it was getting really deep. I'm like, I want to end it. So I ended it in chapter 7 because I just did not feel like this is new waters to me. I don't want to go and I did not see the potential of that story. And so I revisited the story after I'd already published An Emotional Affair and Broken. I now revisited The Church Girl and did an extended version of it. And then from the extended version, I wrote The Guardian, and Church Girl became a saga because God just took that story somewhere else.
Wow. And this is to say, if you've not read The Church Girl, It's something you need to read. In fact, all of these formats books are very interesting. I've seen the blogs, I've read the summaries, I've read reviews, and they're not just stories, they're stories with messages. Like you said, God took over most of them. So I think when you read, you'll be like, I think this is where I just hope that when I read one, I'll be able to know where God took over.
You would know.
Okay.
You would know.
That's an amazing one. So, Ufuomaee, you're married, you have kids. How on earth are you able to manage all this, right? Do business, everything, take care of kids and marriage and all the rest?
It has its challenges. Well, you live and you learn. It's not impossible. It's something you can do. Just takes prayer and faith. And yeah.
So how are you able to balance your work? Like, do you have any productivity tools you want to share with people, or is there a simple hack, a secret you want to share with us? You know, to help us keep in time with what we do.
If you're a believer, our first calling really is to go into all the world of the gospel. Now, the skills that we have are the tools that God has given us to reach the world, to preach the message. Writing is a very great tool for me, and I'm using it well by the grace of God. There are other tools that people have in music, in what you're doing here, having a show and being a speaker, or even being an artist. So your primary mission, going to all the world and preach the gospel. If you want to know how you're supposed to do that, look at your talents, look at what God has given you, and begin to use them. You might not use them and saying, okay, every episode is you preach the gospel, but there's stages, even if you're an artist, there's first drafts or second draft, or you know how you do your thing. So the point is the Spirit is there with you and guiding you through the process of what you're doing. And at the end of the day, when you're done, people look at your work, they're going to get the message that you're trying to pass across, and your faith will direct you. Your faith will anchor you, when things are going up, when you don't have money, for example, and you're struggling, your faith in God will come through for you because He wants you to continue to believe. It's not like it's going to be easy, but I just think that if we keep the first thing in mind, we will know what to do with the rest.
And the first thing in mind is
going to all the world and preach the gospel.
That's great. You're saying that the anchor and the ease that you have in trying to do all these things is relying on the Holy Spirit to lead you and to direct you. So that's like a productivity tool.
Yeah, Jesus said He'll send His Spirit to help us, right? And to remind us of everything that He taught us, So we have our mission, we have the Holy Spirit, we have our talents. The Bible talks a lot about our talents and our skills, and we all have it's a diversity of talents. It's not just being a teacher or a prophet or miracle worker. Those are not just the talents that we have. Even the ability to care, the ability to listen, the ability to give. Those are all different talents that we have. So if we have in mind that everything that we're doing is to the glory of God, then we'll know how to put those talents together to bring God glory. Mm-hmm. And because we have sought to bring God glory, He is going to be right there with us, making sure that happens. And of course, we cannot go without being blessed ourselves. You just can't go. You can't have God involved and you won't be blessed.
Yes. Now this one wants to say that. Yeah. Oh my, that's amazing. So whatever gift you have, I know. Actually, when I first started, I said that this is not just about writing. It's not just about what Mrs. Ufuomaee does. It is just for anybody who thinks they are out of place. Like when we come to the ministry, maybe I need to get a mic to preach, I need to sit for the lights, I need to know how to talk, I need to know how to write, I need to know how to do this, that. But what we are trying to say that whatever you have, that little area where the Lord is pushing you, or where you have that sense of passion to use and talk to people, to use and share the gospel, is something that you need to hold on to. That's mine. Just take the step. Little by little, you find yourself doing that single commission of preaching the gospel and sharing the message. So don't just hinge it on, I need to be a pastor. Don't just hinge it on, I need to be a prophet. Don't hinge it on, I need to be a writer, I need to be a musician, I need to be an actor. If you're those, that's fine. But there are different areas. Little gifts, in fact, there are little gifts. All those gifts are needed. The gift of caring, the gift of sharing, the gift of listening, the gift of talking, the gift of praying. Everything is needed for the house of God. So, which one do you have? Celebrate it right now and begin to use it for the glory of God.